My space, your space. Your space, my space. Our space. One space love.
The One Space Love Show for the love of music, lifestyle, well-being and culture while caring for our planet. On this show, I will be chatting with musicians, artists and creative minds that are living life on purpose by doing what they love.
Our space. One space love. My space, your space. Your space, my space. Our space. One space love. One space love. One space love.
Welcome. This is For the Love of It TAFE edition. And what a surprise, we have Candice Erickson here. And once I looked at your journey and the pathways it took you to follow your passion, I literally, as you know, ran over to the cafe and said, Jessica intuited the idea and then we just followed it. And here we are. So thank you for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
And you've actually travelled down from
the Gold Coast. Gold Coast this morning.
And flying out this afternoon. So thank you for this moment. I hope you have some food.
Well, yeah, I tend to eat a lot. Yeah. Like I'm not far from food at any moment.
That's good.
There's some in my bag. Yeah.
Nourishing the soul. So we're going to start off by asking you, could you introduce yourself to everyone here by answering the statement, I am?
I am me. I am Candice Erickson. Recently Candice Erickson, actually. I only got married 6 months ago. My husband's in the audience. And I am a former media personality. I've worked with Channel 7, Channel 9, and some of the biggest radio networks in the country. Right now, I focus on working in marketing. So I help businesses grow, and part of that is my background in psychology, and I've just got a lot of experience in marketing.
Yeah, thank you. Because saying your background in psychology, I read that there was even a civil engineering. Can you take us back? Like, you know, we're at school and we're asked, what is it you want to do? How did you get into civil engineering? And then at 19, had this career into psychology and counselling?
Oh, it's a pretty big story, but I'll make it really short for you. I was one of those lost little souls. I hated that question at school. I hated that when you're in year 10, you have to make these. Back when I was in high school, it felt like there was a lot of pressure to get that right. I'm not sure if it's still the same. There was opportunities to see a career counsellor, and I do remember being put through a bit of a survey about what an ideal career might be. And I can't remember what came out, but I just remember none of it resonated with me. And I felt like the only one of all of my friends who didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think that's because I was actually creative, and that wasn't really noticed or fostered well enough back then to help me explore my creative side. And most careers and jobs, I personally felt like people are just trying to put you in a box. Like, you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, you can be a vet. And a lot of my friends went and did nursing. I was like, I don't want to do nursing. That feels horrible. So I felt lost. And it was actually a boyfriend that I had at the time. His dad was a surveyor. And what I noticed about surveying was that you got to travel a lot, so you weren't necessarily in a fixed location. That sounded exciting. And the money was really good. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll just be a surveyor. And I asked him one day, I'm like, what do I need to learn to be a surveyor? And there was a course, but for some reason I went and did civil engineering. And I was the only girl. It felt incredibly boring. It was really, I struggled to be present in any of the classes. A lot of it was math, which I didn't enjoy. I loved science. And then I only did a year of that and figured I'm not cut out for this. There's lots of other cool engineering. I don't even know why I went for civil. I think it was that connection to the surveying that seemed like a cool job. So I then discovered around the age of 18, my dad had mental health stuff going on, and he had actually attempted suicide. And so I became super fascinated by humans and our brain, and just because I didn't know how I grew up not noticing that was something that was coming. So I literally went to libraries and I would just sit there reading like dry, boring textbooks, trying to learn the ins and outs of what makes us tick. And then I ended up enrolling in a psychology and nutrition, a double degree, because I figured it wasn't just our mind, it's got to be something to do with our body as well. And in that study, I didn't feel like I was learning what I wanted to learn either. So I ended up not finishing that and went back to what I really loved, which was just being self-employed. So I had a variety of businesses for 10 years before I actually got into media.
Exactly. And this is what I really want to show. But you continue to have the same values along the way. Were you able to articulate what you were passionate about and what you valued through those experiences?
I think I've figured out what I'm passionate about by just actually doing things. And there has been so many years. I'm 43. I will turn 43 this year. And so for me, it feels like it's taken such a long time to arrive at this destination where I am now. And that's being really clear on who I am and what I want to do for the rest of my days. For the longest time, I didn't know what that was. And I figured I'm just going to try things. And if I jumped into something and it didn't feel right, I didn't really have any issue with leaving or stopping because I just felt good that I had tried. And everything I have tried, I learned skills along the way, which have all culminated to who I am today. And I'm so grateful for everything I've experienced. But for me, it's just a lot of testing and measuring, trying to figure out what is it that I really like. And I did fall into my media career, like literally when I was offered my first on-air opportunity, I laughed at it. Like I'm like, I don't want to read the news. Like I don't want to read stories of animals getting hurt or things that upset me. I thought it was going to be actually a horrible job. And so I said no. But then for some reason it stewed in my mind for weeks. And then I come back and I'm like, is that opportunity still available? And they're like, yep. And that's where it started. And the only reason I stayed in media for 10 years because it was fun. It was actually different every day. And there was lots of avenues that you can go in media. There's lots of ways you can explore your creativity and try different things and be part of different things. And because radio is also, radio in particular, actually a lot of TV, it's a collection of people coming together that are typically not living near their friends and family that they grew up with because people move for these jobs. So you make like little families in the stations that you work in. Well, I did anyway. It's like people start to feel like brothers and sisters and you have this strong sense of community. So those are the things that kept me there. But I was always an entrepreneur.
Yes, I can feel that. What I'm feeling now is I want to go more into the pathway of the media because there's so much, and then with Good Days and Mind Matters.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your father committed suicide.
He's still here. He attempted, yeah.
Thank you.
And
I'm so sorry that I said that.
It's fine.
But often what I feel is a lot of us have these paths that roadblocks, challenges, adversity, and it's how to learn from that experience and how to use the skills within that to find which way you're turning next, rather than see it as something that defines you as your victim story, you know, something that you get stuck in and that you can't move from. And so it sounds like that led you to open up to how to help mental health. And with mental health at the moment, I think that it's such a big one. And I was listening to your podcast, The Good Days, and you had a tiny snippet about a reference for mental health right now. And so what were some of the things about how we can move away from medication and counsellors and psychologists and how to support, you know, moving out of the mental health? So what are some of the things that helped you, help your father, you know, help move out of it? Because it's a big one at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It is huge. I'm just thinking about the best way to even answer that.
Or some practices that can really assist in mental health at the moment.
Like taking action, like movement, and not the thing is that like Tyler and I talk about this a lot, like my husband Tyler. I think that there's this concept that we should like feel okay and that everything should be okay and things need to be a certain way all the time. And most people actually have this issue with control and what we're trying to control. And the truth is we only ever have control over ourselves. We don't have control over anything else outside of that. So not everything is okay all the time, and that's normal. Like, it's okay to have friction in relationships. It's okay for things to feel unsettled and unstable, and that needs to be normalized. What's not okay is staying there. What's not okay is not finding your own resolution, finding your own way forward. But it's okay to not feel okay. And like, it's actually really normal. And just like nature, I mean, we are essentially nature. There's seasons for everything in life. There were seasons in my media career which were amazing. And like, I was on top, man. Like, I was so happy. And I'm like, oh, this is all finally balanced out. And all the hard stuff I went through in this industry this is great. And then it changes. You have a manager leave and someone new come in, and the whole like thing that you created just is off all of a sudden. And life has seasons, relationships have seasons, any career has seasons. And we have seasons as humans where sometimes we need to slow down and pause and reflect, and other times like we're moving forward really fast. So when it comes to mental health, the best things that people can do for themselves is actually move. There's this amazing research out of England that shows that antidepressants actually have no real effect on most things that they're prescribed for. Serotonin is not actually the issue when it comes to depression and serotonin levels. There's this amazing research out, and the best thing humans can do for themselves is move their bodies. Like, actually be active. And then there's all other things like ice baths and breath work and like so many things that you can try, but actually just being active, going for walks, like going to the gym, having a bit of a routine.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's very important to bring that awareness, especially right now, and when it's starting from the youth all the way through to our age. It's a big one at the moment.
Yeah, the world is so it feels like a little bit confusing at the moment. There's massive fast advances when it comes to tech, and then there's big world global changes going on, and there's the whole thing coming through at the moment with identity and who am I as an identity and what do I identify as? Like, there's a lot of big complicated conversations and changes in society. It doesn't feel stable. Like, it probably felt more stable 20 years ago. There's big things around the world. I mean, there's current wars and animosity. So yeah, it's just a really confusing time. And for younger people, what I see is a big lack of, I guess, purpose in knowing what they're here for or what they need to do next. And I mean, that needs to be healed by parents sort of guiding, and parents or caregivers giving some wisdom and guidance and support there.
And the education that there can be many pathways to pursue your purpose.
Yes.
And I think that, you were saying that you were offered, I had a similar experience with radio where I was offered radio, but I had no idea that pathway was available. And I was like, you're joking, right? So I understand. So when you had that moment, you then started driving yourself to go to these incredible roles that you've had in media. What did you pull on to get that self-worth? And was it that it excited you, that you found that it lit you up? What was it for you? Because you said one of your driving forces was moving to Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Was it your values that were driving you, that this is a job that can suit that?
It's really interesting. For a while, every role that I got offered in radio was from me being me. So when I got offered the radio journalist role, it's just because I was being me and made friends with the news director, and he really wanted me on his team. And he was just a cool old guy that had been doing news for like 30 years, but we used to have chats in the office. And so he saw me as a pivotal part of his team. And then that happened. Then because I was a business owner in the town before radio, I got asked to MC the local business awards. 1,000 people were attending, and the general manager was there of the radio station. He come to me on Monday after those awards. He's like, I want you on my on-air team. I don't want you in the newsroom anymore, because he saw my personality when I was hosting. So then that happened, and then they noticed that I was really good at marketing, and I started bringing all this money into the station, and I had business connections, and I was out at things. And so I just got more and more opportunities. And then my stories were going viral online and on social media. The network started using me as an example of what's possible because I was just getting so many clicks. They started selling advertising space on the website because of my clicks. Then like other stations started to hear about me because my stories were going viral. So this is where I was just sharing with some of the students at the TAFE earlier, make content, like go and do stuff, have a body of work, show who you are, get clear on your personality, because you can get opportunities by literally just being you and just showing up as you and doing what feels good for you. And so I just got headhunted after headhunted after headhunted because of the work that I was producing. So for me, it wasn't, for a little while there, actually, some of my radio friends hated me because I literally fell into a radio job and I never actively pursued any of the jobs that I ended up in. It wasn't my dream. I'm a business owner. I love being an entrepreneur. I love having flexibility. I love deciding what I'm going to earn rather than being told what I'm going to earn, because unfortunately, unless you get on air in a metro station on a breakfast show, radio wages aren't amazing. They're not. They've probably changed since I was in there, but I always found it like a bit of a balance of I really need to either do overtime or I need to do something else to supplement my income to even have a lifestyle that I wanted. So I was never actively pursuing jobs, and they would just come to me because I was having fun and I was just enjoying myself in the space. So the drive for me for a long time was I was living in a half renovated house. So I was like, I just need to make more money. So how can I be more active? How can I make more money? And then that just created more opportunity. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like people almost being intimidated by all the opportunities and the doors that open for you. Can you share how is the best way to be really aligned and confident within yourself and understanding, not let anyone throw you off the path that you're on because of their self-doubt, because of their choices that they're making, just to help people have that courage and to be brave?
Courage and bravery is all there really is. You have two choices in life, and that is to live within the limits of your comfort zone or step outside of them. And there are situations where I've turned up at new roles in different radio stations and people have instantly not liked me, like instantly, because they hated me before I got there because they felt that they should have been the person in that role. And I have walked in not knowing any of that story, but just feeling and noticing that frustration from them. So that's the thing. You've got two choices. Do you sit back and let everybody else feel good and win and let everybody else feel comfortable? Or do you take the opportunity that you've got in the one life that you have and make of it what you want to make of it?
Absolutely.
It's like fear. The work that I do right now, I coach a lot of mostly women in their businesses to go to the next level. And a lot of going to the next level is being able to step into your own leadership, your own levels of leadership. And I see leadership as like basically how you lead yourself. No one should be in a leadership role unless they lead themselves well enough to be able to lead others. So you have to ask yourself, like, are you going to live the life that you want to live or live a life that makes everybody else feel comfortable?
So well said. You were mentioning that on your socials that you won an award, a business award for women. You almost missed that opportunity because you were off studying Chinese medicine and...
You've researched me.
Yes, I have in like 20 minutes, but I like social media. So... No, I was so excited I showed up. And that's what this is all about, like seizing the moment. I did not plan this today, but you have to trust and you have to follow what is put in front of you. But what I got from that was there's a whole nother side of you. And when I went on to read all the qualifications, having studied yoga for myself a year, meditation, and delved into personal development, there were so many qualifications, but almost missing that award. I love that. And then you showed up. But where did you find your passion for those different avenues, and how has it supported you within the roles that you're talking about?
I mean, I'm just really interested in what makes us us. I've always been super interested in my own brain and my own thoughts and who I am as a person. So there is a big part of my life that has been quite technical. I've gone and studied really technical things, like starting in civil engineering and then moving to psychology. But then I'm also creative. So I've gone and studied other things I've enjoyed. I'm a trained yoga teacher. I'm trained in Reiki and theta healing and all sorts of random stuff. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I've got qualifications in these things because they were interesting to me. And they're a culmination of all the different steps that have happened in my life. I've had some really bad relationship breakups, which have like literally dropped me to my knees. And then that sent me in a journey of learning some more about myself that leads to a course where I can, learn a new tool that helps me learn about myself. So quantum physics is the latest thing that I'm studying, and the Chinese medicine and quantum physics day, like Tyler and I were running to the awards night because I wanted to stay at the quantum. The quantum, I had to leave, and I didn't 100% know I was going to get an award. So for me, I was like bartering in my mind, like, I don't know if I'm going to get the award. I'm staying here and having fun. I don't know. I'm just this big believer. Like, we get this one life, and when you're in your 20s and 30s, it feels slow sometimes. But I look back at that time now at the age I am, and I'm like, I'm so glad I lived. Like, there were a few years I didn't really live. There were a few years where I was going through the motions, like going to work, paying the bills, just trying to make everything work and be comfortable. But there's other times that the times I think back so fondly of are the times that I took the chances and pushed myself outside of my comfort zones and just went for something. Like, those are the best memories that I have, and I'm so grateful for them. And working in media, like, that all adds to your character and your personality as well. You have to have a personality to work in media. Even to be a good interviewer of a podcast or anything like that, like, you need to have lived. Like, that lived experience is something that helps you craft your questions and helps you connect with another person so deeply. If you don't have that, it can be really hard to make your career work. Well, many careers, but especially in media.
Just on light of what you just said, to follow on from that, I love that you shared your entire life can really change in a year. You just got to love yourself enough to know you deserve more, be brave enough to demand more, and be disciplined enough to work for more. Those
aren't my words, and I don't want to do a Jay Shetty here.
No, but it was,
and I can't quote whose words they were, but it's very. I shared those because they're very true
and potent to, I think, everything that you've shared today. That's something that you very much embody, and I very much admire all the journey that you've had. Before we wrap up, we are sharing a TAFE edition here. So how did TAFE contribute to your pathway, and were there some mentors along the way through TAFE that supported you?
I studied at this TAFE, and I can't remember when. I think it was 2001 or 2000. It was really, really a long time ago. And I've studied at multiple TAFEs since then and done a whole bunch of certificates and training. I think that we are so lucky in Australia to have a facility like TAFE where, you can either come and study and pay to, or it's subsidized. Like, we are just so lucky. Having traveled so many countries, this kind of quality of education just doesn't exist. And TAFE has got some of the best teachers, like literally industry leaders. And it's so well recognized as well. Like, I know TAFE teachers where they're proud to be a TAFE teacher, and it's a qualification that can get people so far. What I love is it's the practical as well as the intellectual. So you really can turn up to a job with the practice skill. It's like, unlike sometimes university degrees, I think what people have troubles with is then going and getting a job because they haven't really got that work experience. But I've always felt like TAFE is a place where it's just felt different to me. As somebody who's done both streams of education, I feel like I come out of a TAFE experience way more equipped and ready to walk into something, ready to go.
Industry experience.
Yeah,
industry ready. Yep.
100%. Yeah. And one of the things I studied at TAFE here in Ultimo was Certificate 4 in communication. So
marketing. Yeah.
It's so interesting that I unknowingly, like 10 years after that, ended up in an industry where I was being paid to be a professional communicator. So it kind of just following my instincts at the time of even registering for that course later on opened up one of the greatest opportunities of my life. Like those 10 years in radio were some of the best years of my life. I have held Alicia Keys' hands. I have hugged Fleetwood Mac. I have been backstage with Harry Styles. Like I have done some phenomenal things that I'm excited to tell my kids about when we have kids. And those are memories that I've got now for the rest of my life. So inadvertently, TAFE started to help me on that journey.
Opened up so many doorways.
Yeah.
And I love that you shared. I was going to ask you the highlights of being in media, and beautiful that you shared all those little moments that really reward you and fill your cup up and make you feel good.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of time, and I want to just ask, what is it that you're currently sharing? Because there's a few things that you've got on offering, and let's just share about where you're currently able to be heard and what you are doing with the mentoring and what's happening now.
Yeah, of course. So my main brand is Good Days with Candice, which is actually, it's meant to be a mental health wellness festival, which will be in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria. I've got business partners involved in that, but we just haven't started that process yet. So Good Days with Candice has become a podcast, which is on air on radio stations around Australia. And I mostly work with women at the moment, and I teach them how to create content, because fame is the most efficient business model. And I also get them ready to be media ready if they want to be on things like The Today Show, or what else is there? I don't watch TV anymore. The Today
YouTube,
Show, Sunrise, things like that. Yeah. So I work with women to help them expand their reach through social media or media, and to help them just up level to the next stage of their business, make more money. Like money is actually such a beautiful thing to have. It just brings so many other options and opportunities. So if I can help elevate people to make more money, I figure that the world's just going to be a happier place.
And you could be of service with more money. You know, you can give back. What is it that you are visioning up to bring forward? Is there anything else that you're feeling like, I really want to venture into this with what I've built?
Yeah, I'm actually about to go to India on a pilgrimage for a month, and there is something brewing, but I haven't quite finalized what it is. At the moment, I'm doing a 30-day Reels challenge. I've got 50 women in a community. I'm just teaching them how to show up on social media more confidently and in a way that really sells their business well. And those women are getting amazing results in there. I'm going to expand that into another challenge, which is probably going to be sales training related. But Tyler and I are working on a couple of things, my husband and I, and I'm just not ready to announce what that is because it's still
brewing.
The pieces are coming together.
We'll have to chat to you again. We're very excited. Thank you so much for chatting today on For the Love of It TAFE edition.
Thanks for having me.
One space, love. My space, your space. Your space, my space.
You've been listening to One Space Love podcast, and I'm Steph Pappas. Thank you for listening. You can head over to onespace.love to learn more about what it is One Space is, and over on the website, all of the previous podcasts are available. You can watch the chats on video on our YouTube channel, One Space Love. I hope these shows inspire you to create more space in your life for doing what you love.